You know that feeling when you realize you've been scammed? It's the worst feeling in the world. One moment I was a devoted wife. The next, I was wiring thousands of dollars to a man I had never even met. My name is Anna, and if you're watching this, I want you to learn from my mistakes, and don't fall victim like I did. This is how it all began. For the past year, my marriage had been falling apart. My husband Daniel was the kind of husband who made sure we were financially secure. He was a hardworking man, so hardworking that he barely had time for me. He spent long hours at the office, came home late, and often went straight to bed. I understood that his job was demanding, that he was working hard to provide for us. But in the process, he had forgotten about me. At first, I told myself things would get better, that once his workload eased, he'd return to me and we'd find our way back to each other. But as time passed, his absence became the norm. Even when he was home, he wasn't really there. He was either buried in his laptop, answering emails, or scrolling through his phone, barely acknowledging my presence. I felt invisible, unwanted, forgotten. I tried everything, dressing sexy, planning date nights, cooking his favorite meals, but nothing worked. No I love yous, no intimacy, no warmth, just silence. Loneliness is a strange thing. It sneaks up on you, making you question your worth. And in that loneliness, I made a decision that would change everything. One night, after another evening of feeling ignored, I picked up my phone and downloaded a dating app. I told myself it was harmless. I wasn't looking to cheat. I wanted to feel wanted, to know if I was still desirable. I created a fake account under the name Sabrina. I uploaded a carefully chosen picture, a younger version of me. Nothing too revealing, but just enough to capture attention. I wasn't expecting much, but the moment I created account, the messages started coming in. Within minutes, my phone was flooded with messages, compliments, and flirty remarks from men. It was ridiculous how easy it was to get attention. Attention my own husband refused to give me. It felt exhilarating and intoxicating. For the first time in a long time, I felt seen. I felt alive. The more I scrolled through the messages, the more I started to feel like I was reclaiming a part of myself that I had lost. There was a part of me deep down that knew I shouldn't be doing this. But another part, one that had been neglected for far too long, welcomed the attention. It felt good to be desired again, and that's when I met Chris. His first message was simple, casual, and just the right amount of friendly. I responded, and from there the conversation flowed easily. He asked about my day, complimented my profile picture, and even threw in a couple of jokes. He was charming, funny, and said all the right things. He made me feel like I mattered again. As the days went by, Chris and I kept chatting, and I found myself looking forward to our conversations more and more. Every night, after my husband went to bed, I would stay up talking to Chris. Our conversations became the highlight of my day. I found myself smiling at my phone, waiting for his messages. It was like I had stumbled into a fantasy world where I wasn't neglected or forgotten. He paid attention to me, listened to me, and, more than anything, made me feel special. I began to wonder what it would be like if we met in person. If this man could make me feel this alive through a screen, what would it be like in real life? Weeks later, Chris started opening up more about his life, about his struggles, his failing business, and the financial hardships weighing him down. He didn't ask for help at first, but I could sense the desperation in his voice. I wanted to help him. "How much do you need?" I asked without hesitation. At first he resisted, saying he didn't want to burden me. After much persuasion from me, he then admitted that he needed some money to get back on his feet. It wasn't an outrageous amount, but it was enough to make a difference, and I had access to it. My husband and I had been saving for years, building a future together, but that future felt like a distant dream now. So, I wired Chris the money, more than I had ever given anyone in my life. When he received it, his gratitude was overwhelming. He became more affectionate than ever, flooding me with gratitude and love. He promised that as soon as his business recovered, he'd pay me back tenfold. He swore he would visit, that we'd finally meet, that we'd have something real. But soon, he started withdrawing emotionally. His messages became infrequent, and his responses became slower. His once affectionate tone became colder. Days passed without a word. When I finally called and confronted him, he reassured me he was just dealing with stress and complication that needed more money. He sent me bank statements, proof that he was struggling, but just on the verge of a breakthrough. He promised me that this would be the last time he needed help, that once he was financially stable, I would see a return on my investment. Every time he needed more, he had a perfectly crafted reason. I never questioned the authenticity of Chris's story. After all, he was kind, caring, and had made me feel more alive than I had in years. It was the biggest request yet. I hesitated, but the thought of losing him terrified me. I wired the last of our family's life savings to him. In my heart, I justified it by thinking that I was doing this for love, for someone who made me happy and had finally shown me the attention I had craved for so long. But as soon as the transfer went through, he disappeared. His profile vanished. His phone number became unreachable. Every trace of him was gone. That was the moment the truth hit me like a sledgehammer. I had been scammed. I had fallen for a trap designed for lonely, wealthy women like me. My heart raced as I replayed every conversation with Chris, every message, every promise he had made. It all felt so real, so convincing. But now, I could see the truth. Chris wasn't who he said he was. He had been a predator, targeting lonely women like me, weaving stories designed to make me trust him, and I had fallen for it completely. The money was gone. My savings, my husband's savings, everything we had worked for had been stolen in a matter of weeks. I felt sick. I tried to reach out to the authorities, but there was nothing they could do. Chris had disappeared without a trace. Leaving no evidence, no paper trail. I felt humiliated, exposed, and utterly betrayed, not just by him, but by myself. How could I have been so stupid? How could I have been so desperate for affection that I let this happen? I returned home that night, heartbroken and shattered. My husband was still as distant as ever, unaware of what I had done. I couldn't tell him the truth. How could I? How could I admit that I had lost everything to a stranger I had never even met? It didn't end well for me. One night, as my husband went through our bank statements, he noticed the missing money. His face paled as he scrolled through the transactions. "Anna, where is our money?" My throat tightened. I could barely breathe. I had no way out, no excuse, no lie that could save me. So, I told him the truth. Every detail. When I finished, Daniel just stared at me. Not with anger at first, but with something worse. Disbelief. Betrayal. A deep, bone-chilling disappointment. "How could you do this?" he whispered, his voice hollow. I had no answer. That night, my husband packed a bag and left. He didn't scream, he didn't curse, he just walked away. And I knew, deep in my soul, that he wasn't coming back. I had sought comfort in the arms of a stranger, and in return, I had lost everything. I was left with nothing, no savings, no husband, no love, just the crushing weight of my own mistakes. The loneliness I had felt before was nothing compared to the emptiness I feel now. My life, my marriage, my future, all of it had crumbled into dust. And the worst part, I had no one to blame but myself.